Hi, everyone. My name is Shira Myro, and I'm here with my partner, Dr. Alexa Altman. And in this short mini YouTube series, we are going to unpack a lot of your questions around psychedelic assisted therapy. The question we have today, and it's close to my heart because I am a couples therapist, is can psychedelic assisted therapy help my relationship? And if so, how? So the first thing I want to name is this is an emergent therapy, and we're talking specifically about MDMA assisted couples therapy. So we are not yet in the approval process with the FDA, but it will be something that we hope will be available down the road in perhaps even a few short years. So we're talking about its potential today, as opposed to something that you can do right away. Alexa, what questions come up for you around this juicy subject?
Yeah, I think often the question that comes is what kind of issues, if a couple is seeking couples therapy with the MDMA present, what are some of the issues that couples come in with, and why would they seek psychedelics over just traditional talk couples therapy? And yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, couples therapy, people are coming in with that because they feel like they've somewhat dead ended in a couples therapy process. Maybe they feel like, hey, we have better communication, we have new tools, but we can't seem to get a breakthrough. And then relative to the issues that they're coming in with, I would put them in three buckets. One is they feel like they're complacent or stagnant. There's no fire left, right? The fire's gone out in their relationship.
Right.
Another scenario might be there's a lot of conflict and they feel so alienated from each other that they just can't seem to find common ground. It's like, who are you? Where did you go? And then another one is infidelity recovery. That's one I've gotten a lot of inquiries about, which is we've done a lot of work to try to repair and rebuild our relationship, but the trust feels so fragile. So we're not there yet. So those are three different ones that come to mind. Can you think of some issues that might also be on the table for people?
Yeah, I think when you said couples therapy only can get a couple so far, and the stuckness, I think that you're referring to is something that the breakthrough or the promise or the hope of psychedelics is offering a window into a deep, deep sense of trust. We think about MDMA. I think one of the benefits in particular of this psychedelic, right, is that it offers this capacity to be able to see a person more fully and see a person less defended or undefended. So I would say couples who are like where their armor's up and they're like not really talking to each other anymore, but talking to their soldiers that sit in front of them, defending each other. So there's something about the like MDMA stripping a couple of some of those defenses that get in the way of them actually seeing each other again. So I think, Cher, I know in your practice and your couples therapy, you see a ton of couples. And would there be a couple that you would say is not a good candidate for couples therapy with the use of MDMA, and why?
Yes, it's a great question. I mean, first, the rule outs, the physical rule outs for MDMA, blood pressure, heart condition, brain aneurysm. There's a host of maybe contraindications with other types of medications, potentially from SSRIs or other types of things. But I would say when a couple is deeply, deeply dysregulated, where they don't have capacity to manage some reactivity. For instance, like a super high conflict couple, if they haven't done some substantial work, not only some inner work, some self reflection to sort of understand what are the not only the origins, but their kind of capacity to be able to interrupt reactive cycle inside of them, and between them with their partner, that couple isn't ready for journey. Something that you said earlier, which is, MDMA really has the capacity to bring people's guards down and open up their hearts. So those, I call them negativity goggles, right? They're usually sealed shut. And when we're able to take them off and see each other with open, fresh eyes, that creates the possibility for them to relate in a way that is not laden with all the defensiveness and the criticism and even the heavy overlay, the narratives, the storytelling around our relationship. Either we're so damaged, or we're so stuck, or I can't get through to you. What happens is there's a kind of spaciousness that emerges in the medicine that allows these stories to be processed in a way where there's hope, there's redemption, there's potential to say, okay, wait a second, we can table some of these things and hold them in a way where we can really see that they don't serve us or our relationship anymore. And it's incredibly powerful.
I think something that, that idea with kind of couples contraindicated, if I think about like stripping oneself of one's defenses and that level of vulnerability that's really required for intimacy, when a couple can no longer foster that level of trust to be intimate with each other emotionally, one of the challenges of a psychedelic assisted therapy with a couple that doesn't have skills is that you've kind of created a space of vulnerability without the ability to really sustain that after the journey. And so we say that a lot, like it's really important to build some skills first and be able to hold the yummy stuff, if there is something yummy that comes from the journey, to be able to hold it. Otherwise, it actually could be wounding again to feel connected and then to lose that connection. And so I know we're talking about the challenges. Maybe we could talk about some of the benefits of what a couple who, when this gets FDA approved, why a couple could see this as an option, and what would be some things they could like get hope for out of this kind of treatment. Like, what are some of the things that we've seen in the research that are really promising?
I love that question. I think, to your point about the skills, it's very similar in the sense of individual psychedelic work, which is if there's very little self-awareness, if there's very I want to say little capacity to sort of look at your inner material and look at your patterning and look at your past and look at your attachment orientation, that when you come into the psychedelic work, it can open up so much for you, but then it's almost like you're lacking the structure to hold it when you come back down. So, and we'll talk more about that and talk about integration in another episode, but it's similar for couples, which is why I think psychedelic assisted therapy for couples will be an adjunctive form of therapy. Meaning maybe you'll come in, maybe you've done some work 3 months or 6 months or or a year or beyond that. And so you've got that structure. You have communication tools. You know how to resolve conflicts. You understand your patterns. You understand what you bring to the relationship, positive and negative. So having all of that awareness is really going to help you catch and capture the things that you learn and see. And specifically, it is having, in therapy speak, right? An attachment, a reparative attachment experience where you are holding space with each other for a very prolonged period of time, many hours, where you're seeing each other. You might be holding each other or holding each other's hands, looking to each other's eyes, where you're so deeply present and engaged and connected. And that's so powerful, right? It's not to say that it's a bypass, but it's an accelerant and an amplifier that if love is present, you've kind of scraped off the crusty layers of defensiveness and criticism and irritability, and you're now like seeing each other again. And you can then capitalize on that, right? You rekindle that incredible feeling and felt experience of love. And then you go back into your work, into your life, into your therapy. And now the tools really make a whole lot of sense because you've connected to that deep well of love. It's like we filled the well. And that's why I think it's so incredibly powerful because many couples, the reservoir is very low. It's kind of, or near empty. And it's very hard to have that sense of like morale. Hey, there you are. I love you so much. Um, it's just incredible. I mean, and when I've seen couples come back from it, sometimes they've had such a prolific trauma history and you're like, good heavens. Okay, will one be enough? And they've more than rebounded. They've rekindled that. They've rekindled the spark.
Mm. On that note, I'm sure this sparked a lot of questions or things that people may have not thought about related to themselves or their couple and in psychedelic assisted therapy. We'd love to hear questions or comments or other, not even related to couples therapy, any questions you have related to any of the things we've talked about today. We'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment or find us on psychedelic.com and we'll try to answer your questions. So on that note,
We'll see you next time.